Buonasera, good evening. It is what 8:05 p.m. here on the East Coast of the United States. I'm going to be doing some more programming for my plugin tonight, and I learned about 2 seconds ago that you can in fact blow up the scale of the UI in Unity, which might make this more palatable for streaming. However, now I'm realizing it actually makes the workspace of the thing that I'm building incredibly small. So maybe it's not so good. I don't know. It's time o'clock. It's always time o'clock. So I'm always saying this. It's time o'clock somewhere. Yeah. Hi, Grolix. Hello. That is a name I recognize from the Lua Lucky family of streams, the Luaverse. Thank you for stopping by. So I might try and scale this back down because I think this is too big. That means I have to restart Unity. Give me a hot second here. Should have learned about this before, streaming, but streaming is a blow up. Let's go to VS Code. It's time o'clock. Where was it? It was under Windows. Windows, no. Edit preferences, that's where we go. UI scaling, can we do like 125%? That's probably good enough, instead of 175. Boom. Indeed. Oh, you got the triple threat of emotes. Well, the emoji and the two emotes. How did tennis go today? I only caught the first half. I know it was an audio-only stream, so hard to imagine unless you're really listening like a radio play. Who ended up winning? If you can even deduce a winner in such a game. If you were there, that is. I'm just assuming you were. Oh, there we go. Alright, that's maybe a little bit better? A little more palatable? Lua lost? Oh, incredible. Well, Farah is the sporty one, so I guess that makes sense. Alright, okay. So I've got two features that I've planned on building tonight. I think I can get both of them done. But to explain how that all works, and for any newcomers who might not know what I'm up to here, I've got my heart monitor plugin. This connects to a bunch of different heart rate services, and you can blush in real time, trigger emotes and stuff like that in real time based on your heart rate. Speaking of Lua Lucky, she uses this for her workout streams so that she can get properly flushed after doing the elliptical for 45 minutes. So she uses this, and I'm trying to make it better. A lot of the changes that are in the next version are based on her feedback, actually, because her game designer brain sent me a laundry list of UX improvements that I could add. So a bunch of stuff like that. So that's where I'm at with this thing. The last big feature we added was the ability to trigger expressions, and the last touches I added on this were instead of just trigger or don't trigger, we have a plethora of behaviors you can have. So, for example, the way I've got this configured right now is my pulse threshold is 150, and I have it set for my angry expression to activate when it goes above that, and then deactivate again when it goes below that. But you can have the inverse, where you turn it off when it goes too high, and turn it on when it goes too low. Just activate when it goes above, and don't worry about what happens when you go too low, and etc, etc. So you've got a bunch of different permutations of ways you can trigger this. She is stuffed with brains. It's true, right? I was really pleased that she gave me so much actionable feedback. Anyway, so the feature that I'm going to try and add today is, in addition to being able to trigger an expression, which is like a very defined function in VTube Studio, or in Live2D rather, where an expression is basically a pre-compiled settings for a bunch of parameters to trigger, like, in my case, it makes a little floaty bit appear on my head, and it forcibly tilts my eyebrows, so it overrides the tracking on the eyebrows and keeps them that way. That's an expression. And when you turn the expression off, eyebrow tracking resumes as normal. But, there's another type of thing I want to do here, which is be able to trigger any arbitrary hotkey with a pulse threshold in pretty much the same way. But instead of having a 6 different behaviors, you just have, I think, 2. You'd have you have 3. You'd have trigger on above, trigger on below, and trigger on above and on below. So basically, anytime you pass the threshold either direction, you'd be able to trigger the hotkey. So that's what I'm going to work on today. And then the second feature, if I get to it, is localization, because I actually have some Japanese translation for this app. that I was able to commission, and I need to integrate into the plugin itself. But that will be secondary. The translation's not done yet, so if I don't get to it, I don't get to it. But I got nothing but time tonight. Okay, so with that in mind, it's time to make a new type of module. Scripts modules. Make a folder. Hotkeys. What did I call them? I think I called them expression modules before, so this would be a hotkey module. Rolex, what have you been up to? What's your weekend looking like? I gotta know. Very, very interested. You're also the first person I've met that has lime green as their, like, desired Twitch color. So it looks very interesting on my, my stream overlay. Usually people have, like, blues. Alright. So I'm gonna try and basically copy how I've set up my expression module as much as possible. We're gonna have an input field that's a thread. I wish I set this up in a way that would let me inherit from one and the other, and I probably could if I really tried. But I don't have the wherewithal in my brain to consolidate these things. Let's see. Then we have our threshold is accessible with this. Prior threshold drop down. Yeah, this all seems like stuff I'm going to need for the other one. It's going to be very, very similar. And then selected expression. Yeah, we're probably going to need something like that in a bit. Drop down for the behavior. Yeah, I think I pretty much need all these same arguments. Love to be able to just copy a bunch of code. Where did I put this? Oh, shoot. I'm really bad at this. Sorry, let me show VS Code. It would probably help if I showed you what I was programming. There we go. Yeah, so I've got an expression module as a class that already works. And I need to copy a lot of that over into the new hotkey module. I drop down. This would be selected hotkey. And we'll figure this stuff out when we get there. We're gonna make a new type of enum, trigger behavior. Yeah. We take this. Hopefully it doesn't complain that this is ambiguous. It shouldn't be because it's within the namespace. Trigger behavior. Here we have only 3. Yeah. So we have activate above, activate below. Activate below. There we go. 3 different kinds of behavior. That's the only ways the hotkeys can work. This would just be by default. Activate above, activate below. Sure. Okay. And I think we can put a kibosh on that for right now, and that should be fine. What's it complaining about? What doesn't it like here? Oh, this should compile. This should. Oh wait, no, my get doesn't return a value. I'm dumb. Wait, return nothing. There we go. Okay, now in the actual like engine of this, the designated plugin interface, this is the part that actually connects with VTube Studio. I need to have some way to have a running list of hotkeys, I suppose. So we're gonna do this. We just copy all of this and change everything that says expression to hotkey because it's all the same. Hotkey module. Thank you. Hey Poobah. I added some new chat redeems, by the way. Nothing as exciting as being able to huck a bone at my head for a single point, but there are some new ones in there. I think it tells you if they're new or not, so use them at your discretion. I like that one. That's going to get a lot of use, I think. Anytime I solve any minor problem. Oh yeah, so Fuba. Yeah, that one's awesome. It's a classic sound effect. Anyway, Fuba, what I'm trying to do here is much in the same way that I have the ability to trigger hotkeys, or trigger expressions. I'm going to add a feature that will let me trigger arbitrary hotkeys when your pulse goes above a arbitrary threshold. Because I think that's the last feature that I could really add to this. And that really opens up people's ability to do anything. Because you can trigger your expressions with the hotkey, but you can also do things like, I think this is the right one? Yeah, there we go. Like item scenes, for example, you can toggle items on and off with a hotkey. So that's my Pizza Atsudan hotkey, where I give myself the chef's hat. Yeah, to trigger basically anything. The thing that the person who asked for this asked for was the ability to turn on and off items like this. And so I figured, why not? Might as well. It should be straightforward. Expressions was the most difficult part, I think. And once you can do that, you can bind whatever you want to a hotkey. And that's like the final frontier, I think. Hotkey Module. And then the other feature that I'm going to try and get to tonight, if I can breeze through this in like 2 hours or less and I'm still awake and my brain is firing, is localization, because I was able to commission a Japanese translation for most of the text in this. And I would like to implement that so that this could be used by folks overseas, because I think that is the second largest language for VTubing, or probably the first largest language, but it's the other giant language. And then if that takes off and is popular, I can look into getting stuff translated into other languages. Alright, so we have, here is hotkeys. Cool. So it's basically all the same stuff that we had for expressions. We have a module that we can instantiate when we make new ones. A list of all the available hotkeys. I don't think this is going to be a string, but maybe. I have to check what the hotkey spec is. Yeah, we get a list of all the hotkeys that are available, and then the ones that we actually have loaded up into the scene. Makes sense. So now here in the big update loop, get all the expressions for the currently loaded model. That's all cool and good. That we're gonna do get hotkey. Hotkey is in current model. Model ID. Oh yeah, okay. I don't know why I have to pass in a model ID. How is this implemented? What did I do here? Optional. Well, I might as well pass it in. Why does that compile? That's weird. So, for the Japanese translation, a guy by the name of Joshua Tapioca gave me the Japanese translations. He is a pretty active interpreter in the Kson Discord. He's very good at slightly slower than real-time interpretation. Not quite at the Taishi tier, but Taishi is literally a professional translator, so, you know, what can you expect? But he offers very, very good translations in the stream chat, so that's handy. And he offered to do this because he's also an engineer, I'm pretty sure, so he understood a lot of the technical parlance, which is good. Yeah, Josh is great. Big fan of them. Alright, so let's see. We do this current model dot data dot model ID, I think I can do that. I think that's allowed. Hopefully this doesn't blow up. Yeah, so data dot model ID, and we do s, and then on error we pretty much just do the same as we did for the expressions. Simply log it, because I don't know what better thing to do with this. I am doing pizza tomorrow for Easter. I've got plans. I've got plans for making pizza tomorrow on stream. It'll be 6 p.m. Eastern. That's 2 hours earlier than I started tonight. And that'll be fun. But I am I don't know how best to advertise those kind of things, because I try and tweet about them very early, but I worry that I post them at a bad time and they just get swallowed and people don't see it, and then I feel obnoxious retweeting my own stuff. Yeah, something like that. You can tune in and see, and I'll tweet about it beforehand, but something like that. It'll be festive, to say the least. Let's see. This hotkeys clear. I think we can do for each hotkey data in s.data.available hotkeys. Hotkey. Ooh, well, I already got the stuff for tomorrow, but I will keep that in mind for. Well, maybe I can make this work for tomorrow. You're not that far off, but I'm gonna leave it a surprise until tomorrow. I'll see if I can procure that in time for tomorrow. If it's not tomorrow, then I'll do that for the next one. I have a queue set up, and so far you're the only person who's redeemed it. Olives were nice and edible, and I'm glad that you've decided to not be so merciful the second time around. That's mighty considerate of you. Alright, what are we doing here? So we have our available Yay! Gonna get a lot of mileage out of that one. Let me know if it's too loud. Alright, so we have our hotkeys. And what information is in a hotkey data? You'd think I'd know this because I wrote this shit, but name, hotkey ID. What do I need to pass? Okay, crucially, actually, what do I need to pass in? Trigger hotkey. Yeah, what do I? Hotkey ID is what I need. So I need to fill that list with hotkey IDs, but that's probably not going to be readable to the user. So I'm going to need to make some kind of structure. How bad do I want to be here? It's a bit loud, but yeah. Well, okay. I'll try and lower it. Or rather, I can lower it very easily. Let me see if I can do that right now, actually. Edit this guy. Volume, just bring that down a touch. There we go. Should be quieter now. Okay. So, if I were a really good engineer, which I'm not, I'm merely a professional engineer, not a good engineer, the right thing to do here would be make a, what's called, domain object that can hold information about the hotkey, because we're going to need the display name, and then there's like a unique identifier, and in order to tell to trigger the hotkey later, we're going to need that identifier, but when we show it to the user, we're going to want to show that name, I think. So what we do is create a domain object that keeps those two pieces of information, and you set those fields in here, and that way, if the thing that you're getting from the API call changes in structure, it doesn't break everything else down the line. You're saying it would be decoupled from your internal systems. All you have to do then would change how you assign those fields here, and then all of your internal systems would be fine. I am hoping that the API doesn't change, and I might just be able to get away with making the list here, instead of a list of strings, just be a list of hotkey data, maybe? And then I'm strongly coupling it to the API, which is bad, and I shouldn't do it, but it's probably fine. So I'm going to do that. Which means I don't even need a for each here. I can just do this dot hotkeys dot add s dot data dot hot available hotkeys. Easy. No? Doesn't like that? Huh? Huh? Hotkey data, yeah. Hotkey data. Huh? Why isn't it like this? Add. Oh, add range. That's what I need. There we go. Add would be a singular one. Duh. Alright. So we can, every time we load a model, then we can get a list of all available hotkeys, and we assign it, basically. That makes sense to me. Flipping back to our hotkey module now, we can turn this back on. We're going to do hotkeys.count. This is going to return... What is this going to return? Yeah, okay, so we're gonna, yeah, this is correct, I think. And then we need to add this waiting on variable, which we had in here as well. What that does, if as a callback to a prior stream, because of the nature of how these things are loaded in, and because they're loaded on a per model basis, even though you have a file that says that you've got all of this stuff saved, if it's not loaded in on when you boot up the app, it'll be very confused. It'll say, okay, the save file says you want to use this hotkey. We haven't found it yet, and it would have a problem. But I have a system set up so that we can assign one that we're waiting on, and we're all set then. We wait for this variable to be found, and if it can ever be found, eventually it gives up. Alright. Where did I put this? I should move this stuff to... should move this up to where we actually reference it instead of having it be really weird and enigmatic. Yeah, because the dropdown is populated by an async method, we load the expression that should be selected from a profile load into this buffer until the async method resolves. Wow, it makes so much sense. So let's copy that into the hotkey zone. And instead of a string, it is a hotkey data, I think. So we do using vts.models, using my very own library. Hotkey data. Cool. It likes all of that. Tom, every plugin has an interface for the user to put in the necessary information for the plugin to run. Right. Yeah. I mean, that's how they work. In theory, you could make one that doesn't have a user interface. Like, I could spin up a Node app that responds only to, say, web calls or something like that. But, yeah, they typically have a UI. They're usually like a standalone app or a website that has a browser-based web page, yeah? Why do you ask? So we got our trigger behavior. Don't think I need anything in update or start. Maybe I need something in start. What did I have in here? Do I have anything in start over here? I think we're going to need all of these still. It's really, really identical to the previous thing we made. Create a... Do you do the interface separately, or is it part of the code? It is part of the code. A good engineering, air quotes, would be decoupling the interface from the actual logic as much as possible, which is to say, you should be able to change the way it looks without changing how it works. And if you need to, like, say, totally radically change something from, you know, a bulleted list to a drop-down, or like I did in the previous feature where you had something that was previously a checkbox and is now like a selection of multiple options, that shouldn't break how it works logically. That is like the platonic ideal, but it doesn't always work out that way. So like in this case, I'm building to go to Unity here. I can't run this because it doesn't compile yet, but I'm building basically a little widget that you'll be able to create here, and then you pop in the information about what hotkey you want to use and such like that. And then in the VS Code side of things, you can see I've got references to the UI elements, like the place where you type in the threshold, you've got your dropdown, and then you've got a behavior dropdown. So the UI is kind of glued a little bit to the functionality here, insofar as this tells it how to get information out of the UI. No. I see what you mean. Give me 2 seconds and I will elaborate on that. No. I am not programmatically generating an interface. I wish I was. That would be very cool. That's how a lot of web-based stuff works. But Unity has a graphic user interface for building user interfaces. Let's see. We can just axe this. Axe this for now. And this should compile? No? Oh, yeah, this. Okay, so this should compile now. So in Unity here, you can make, let me click on something, like this guy right here. You can build the UI, give me one of these, through a UI. So like I was able to just assign where these various elements go. I, can change the color of these things with a user interface, etc., and so forth. I can move these. I can change their size, things like that through a graphic user interface. And then these are each components that the scripts that I was writing have little hooks to, and so they know how to be able to get information out of these fields. So like this is the input field, and I have a piece of code that gets text out of the input field and interprets it and then does something programmatically with it. And that's like as good as I am willing to make this in terms of being decoupled from the interface. At some point you need to have a way to pipe the information from your interface to the backend, to the actual engine, and I don't care to separate them that much because I'm a one-person team. On like a large multi-person team, it's very good to have high separation because then it reduces the odds that somebody else will break your stuff. But it's just me, so I don't care that much. I know what I'm doing. And if I don't, I can easily find out when I broke something. Yeah. It's kind of similar to how, if you're familiar with CSS for web pages, you kind of separate form and function. The browser is the ultimate arbiter of how a page is displayed. You just have chunks that say that they're like drop-downs or scroll bars or buttons, and then there's a thing called CSS, or cascading style sheets, that inform the browser how it should try and render it. But you can easily manipulate CSS to change how it is rendered, and it doesn't change the functionality, typically, of how a web page works. This is a standalone desktop application though, so it's not quite so flexible. What was I doing here? Okay, great hotkey. I need some way to populate my dropdown. How did I do that in the expression module? Just keep flipping back and forth. They're very similar. Yeah, let's just once again take this wholesale. Seeing how much of this I have to copy out of the expression module does really make me want to try and get these to actually just use the same code somehow. But that is not optimization I need to make on stream, I don't think. Hotkey to index. So what is the purpose of this? Index. Expression index. I forget why I wrote this. This dot waiting on is equal to... Oh, right, okay, so this would be... hotkey data. Hotkey. Oh, dot text dot equals... hotkey dot... name? Pretty sure. Well, I deleted a bunch of lines here. Hotkey.name. So then we do the same thing here. Set hotkey. Nope. Set hotkey. Hotkey data hotkey. I'm going to say hotkey so many times tonight that it's not going to sound like a word. Sure. That all seems correct. Refresh. Hotkey list. On the bright side, I'm glad that so much of my code seems flexible enough that I can just well engineered enough that I can just copy it and make basically naming changes and it'll work. But I wish I had set this up in a way that I could literally reuse the same implementation instead of copying it. So this will be hotkey data. Okay, wait. It's gonna be hotkeys. So wait, hold on. This is getting the hotkey options, current index. Ooh, I see. My brain's firing at like a million miles an hour, and I'm not doing a good job of explaining why this is a problem. Okay, so in the previous one, for expressions over here, where was this? I've got a ternary, which is a inline conditional. We say, okay, the expression file that we want to use, if our list of options has more than 0 entries, use that one's name. Otherwise, it's null. Which is to say, if we don't have anything, don't try and set anything. But it's not as straightforward as being able to get the name here, because this is going to be a list of option data. This would be a hotkey, I guess. ID? Ow. Hey, Damie. How's it going? What have you been up to? It's been a hot minute, I think, since I've seen you around these parts. But I also haven't really been very good about streaming programming at the usual time. What is up? I can do this now, I think. I think that works. Why is there a $sign? Why has it done this? Last seen engaging in physics? That's terrifying. I did not know that was a category. I don't know why there's a little $sign. Last seen engaging in physics. Does this mean like teaching? Because I know you're like a professor type VTuber. Or do you mean you were adding physics to your Live 2D? Interesting. Alright, so wait, can I change this just to be... Text is going to be the name. Set hotkey. This is kind of a pain. It's a game called Physics. Doing optics. Interesting. Okay, so I need some way to... I don't like this. They don't have a math category? Really? Really? Could you like do like Math Blaster or something, like some math-based video game, and not actually do not actually play Math Blaster? I wonder. Okay. This is a pain. Drop down, add options. The calculator category. That's fun. I like that. Which for some reason exists. That's fun. I like that. That's a good idea. I think you should do that. I think you should be the premier streamer in the calculator category. I think that would be a great way to make a name for yourself and really bust out. I lost my train of thought. What was I doing? Okay, so here's the problem I'm currently facing. When I was trying to set expressions, it was very easy, because the way that you trigger an expression is you pass in the file name of the expression, which is also the text that I displayed on the dropdown. So in this case, my UI is very closely coupled with my functionality. Oh, for you? Number 1, calculator streamer. Cool. I'm glad to hear it. I hope that works out. I think all the April Fool's Day categories are still there, but I haven't checked. As of last week, at least, the Pizza Time category was still there, so that's my new place. That's where I live, in the Pizza Time category. And then I know Lua does the chores category, which is very funny. Yeah. Anyway, so here's a problem where my UI is very tightly coupled to my backend. On the expression side of things, I was able to just get the text from my dropdown, which is what this does, options and the index of it, and then it was text, and that was sufficient. And then we could say select this hotkey based on that text. But here I'm not so lucky because I'm trying to pass in a more complex structure. And so I need to, I guess, string. I think this needs to be a string. Hotkey name. I think we do that. And when we set the hotkey, we do hotkey to index. Name, like that. I think that placates some of this. Can I set this to a string now? Set hotkey. No, it doesn't like that. Maybe this should be string. Grumble, grumble. Oh shoot! Feed time is still there. I want to start streaming too. Hopefully soon. Nice. Yeah. Depending on what you're trying to do, a high-end PC is probably good, or probably handy. Hotkeys, no. Think? Does that work? Yeah. This is some ghoulish code I'm writing right now. Set hotkey string. Okay. And then it just doesn't like this. So I need to make a list. Who that is. Interesting. Who that is. Let me pop my dashboard. Lichu3593. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. As I say, if you do not put the term rest in peace on your tombstone, you get drafted into the Skeleton War. But you have voluntarily signed up, so we really do appreciate that. You're saving some poor draftee from getting their ass beat in the Skeleton War. That's always good. Thank you. Your service is appreciated. I also think I finally got the alert box to make noise on stream again. I did a whole big project like 2 months ago where I routed all of my audio separately. So every single audio source is individually partitioned on OBS, so they never capture any audio that I don't intend to. But as a consequence of that, sometimes I don't capture audio that I mean to, which is a problem. Alright, so we're gonna do for... I wish that C# had like a map function, like what we have in JavaScript. Data. Because then it would be really easy to do what I'm trying to do here. Boom. Alright, well this compiles. I don't think it's going to work, but it compiles, which is the most important part for testing. Alright, so now we can go back to Unity. Let's see, what's Fupa saying? Literally, most important part. I'm going to see what a friend bought, which would be the best PC within my budget. I mean, depends on what you want to stream, right? Like, if you're going to do art, I don't know that you necessarily actually need a super high-end PC. It's when you start trying to do games and stuff that it really will chug. But if you're just doing streaming, and especially if you're doing streaming off of a console, that offloads like all of the GPU other than video encoding for streaming. Doing art and gaming. Yeah. So, I mean, up to you. But for streaming off of retro console, you don't actually need that high end of a machine. Because, again, you're offloading a lot of the processing to the console. And you're just capturing the video. And so all you're really doing on your own GPU is stream encoding, which is a lot less work than a lot of other stuff. Okay. So we've got our thing here. I need to go to the expression module. Let me pop this in here momentarily, and we're going to make a new prefab out of this. Modules. Make a folder. Original prefab, I think. This becomes, let me rename this to Hotkey. I will probably stream HDMI consoles for now, since that's what my capture card can capture. So the Switch, PS3, oh, yeah, because you can play PS1 games off of the PS3. So, Fuba, here's an important thing to know about the PlayStation 3. It has what's called HDCP, or high definition capture copy protection, built into it, which is to say, capture cards, despite it being HDMI, cannot natively capture stuff from the PS3. The PS3 is probably the hardest console to capture from, other than some really old esoteric shit, because you cannot turn HDCP off like you can on the PS4 and 5. You need to get what's called an HDMI stripper or a splitter that will try and decode and descramble what comes out of the PS3, much in the same way that a television would, before it gets to your capture card. Otherwise, it will not work out of the PS3 by itself, which is a huge pain, but it is a thing you should be aware of. Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Okay, if you're aware of that, then you're all set. Okay, cool. This is the thing that a lot of people don't know, because it doesn't make any sense. It's like not intuitive that the PS3, despite being HDMI, is like not easy to capture. It's a real pain. All right, so here we go. We have our Hotkey module. This is gonna be Hotkey Trigger. Cool, cool. Settings. Oh, and we need to swap out the script on this. So we remove this. We add our new Hotkey Module. Threshold is going to be this one. Drop down for options is this one, and behavior is this one. So now if I add this to the scene here, what'll happen? It's a piracy control thing. They thought people would be used for copying Blu-rays. Yeah, pirating Blu-rays. You got it exactly. Alright, this doesn't work. Why? Probably because I never actually tell it to update its... Yeah, hold on. Okay, that's why this is. So we have a refresh hotkey list that I never call. Where is this being referenced? Where is refresh? Ah. Okay. I need to refresh the expression list. That makes sense. I don't want to do that yet. I am not there yet. Can I just put this in a private void update? Bad code, but it'll work. Oh, I missed something from Demi earlier, didn't I? I got distracted. Looking for a new PC, very exciting, except I'm going to be doing modeling rendering for engineering work, so it's got to be a bit beefy. That's interesting. You could be like one of the few people that streams off of like a workstation, which have like incredible amounts of CPU, but they're like not suitable for gaming. Because they're like a lot of parallel cores or things like that. I know those are like the rare type of graphics card that you'll actually find in stock, are like NVIDIA workstation GPUs, because people don't want them for gaming. Does this work? Well, I know I have more hotkeys than this. They don't all have names? Interesting. So I have quite a few hotkeys here, but they don't seem to... Oh, I'm not showing Unity. Okay, so it picked up my expressions correctly, or my my hotkeys, but I guess most of them don't have names. That probably checks out. I probably don't name my hotkeys, in which case, I need to have some alternative way to give this a display name. Okay. So, we're gonna go back to what I was talking about at the very top of the order, where instead of just having a straight list of hotkey data here, I am going to make a helper class, I think. I think that's the way to do it. Where do I put the definition for that? I have like a models folder, I think, right? Modules. But I think I have a models folder. Oh, core. Tools, nah. I guess it would be here. Actually, realistically, I can just put it in the same file as the Hotkey module. My face is a bit red now. Yeah. Yeah, no, the plugin still works. It's just the piece I'm modifying right now doesn't work. This would be public struct hotkey. I don't want to also call this hotkey data because I already have those. Now I'm really at an impasse. Like, what is it? It's hotkey data. Hotkey list item. There we go. Public string name. Public string ID. There we go. We're gonna do public hotkey list item string name string ID. This dot name equals name. This dot ID equals ID. Okay, so we have that now. We can go back to our heart rate plugin main script. We're going to go ahead and change this up to hotkey list item. That makes sense. It's going to get mad somewhere here that doesn't compile. We're going to do what we did up here. So it's going to be exact mirror for each hotkey data. Hotkey in s.data available hotkeys. We will do this.hotkeys.add new hotkey list item. And so the name is going to have to be a combination of a bunch of stuff because it looks like I didn't name a lot of my hotkeys. So we're going to do... Here's my namings. I'm just going to make up a naming scheme. It is going to be... hotkey dot type. Yeah, okay. Here's what it's going to be. It's going to look like this. Wait, string.format is what I want here. String.format. Yeah, A1, A2, so on. Yeah, exactly. That's very intuitive. What I'm struggling... obviously, I can just name them whatever. I could give them sequential numbers. The trick is naming them something that the user will understand, because apparently you don't have to name hotkeys. So I think I need something that's like the following here. I think this is the right way to do it. And this is going to look nonsensical because it's a formatting thing. Boom. Two. And then, what are we putting in here? It's going to be hotkey.type. Hotkey.name. ID, and then I believe that's correct. We'll see if this works out. So what this is going to format the name as is in brackets the type of hotkey it is, so like what you're trying to trigger. Then if it has a name, it'll be here, and then if it has an ID, which it does, it'll be in parentheses at the end. And so that should all work out. And then over somewhere in here, hold on 1 second, I have to respond to a message. I have responded to the message, we're good. Okay. So this is going to be hotkey list item. Nope, adds data.name. I think that's fine. That should make everything unique. So now if I fire this up again, interesting. Very interesting. That doesn't make any sense to me, that these would all be like this. They're just say their trigger animation, they apparently don't have a name or an ID. That just doesn't make sense to me. So let's inspect here. I've got my drop down. Drop down list for content item. Okay, no, they do have an ID. It's just too long to show. That's kind of not great. But why are also they're all saying their trigger animation? That doesn't sound correct to me either. VS Code. Hotkey.type. Hotkey action. Trigger animation is 0. So this tells me that I have done something wrong with the VTube Studio API, and this is probably a bug in my library that nobody has reported on. So let's find out. VTube Studio API. Alright, it should be shown in the browser now, I think, right? Yeah, there we go. Is there a way to compile ID into something smaller? Not really. I probably don't actually need to display the ID. I was just trying to think of something that could display an event there isn't a name. I need to look at getting a list of all hotkeys. Available hotkeys. Type. Toggle expression. Type is a oh, wait, hold on. Can it not convert that automatically into a... Oh, interesting. So I do have it right. The field name is type. And it's looking for a string here. It's not provided the... Oh, okay, so here's what I think is happening. Going back to my library, my code. In here, I have it as type hotkey action, and it's coming back in as a... Ugh, this is gross. It's coming back in as a enum, or it's coming back in as a string, I guess. And I was hoping that I would be able to map these values directly to that field, but it looks like it's not able to figure out that it should be using the name. It can't convert from string to, I guess these are numbers. So that's unfortunate. That's actually really bad. I need to derail and sidestep for a second and figure out how to fix that, because that's a problem for my library that I don't know how people have been not getting hung up on so far. But fortunately, that's the point of me doing this, is to learn if my library actually works. Okay. So, how would I go about solving this? How would I do this? I ideally would want some kind of mix-in, but I don't think you can do those in C#. Time to consult the internet again. C# string to enum JSON. Rather, Unity. Using enums with JSON. I read a string from JSON and convert it to an enum. Great question. Is there an answer? Enum.parse type of... Oh, well, I know that. But that doesn't help here. Because I can't write my own JSON parser, I don't think. God, this guy just posted his entire script. This is troubling. Troubling. What I would like to do, though, what I'd like to see, is what is the actual direct output I get for that hotkey request. And the way we're going to do that... Oh, all good. So the issue I was looking at here is in Unity right now, you can see that, hopefully you can see, it thinks that every single hotkey I have is a trigger animation type hotkey, which is not accurate. Oops. Most of these are not trigger animations. which means that something is wrong with the way that my library that I wrote, which is what powers all of this and lets me connect to VTube Studio, is interpreting the type of hotkeys that it gets back. And the reason I believe it is doing this is for the following reason. On my code end, I have the type strongly written as a hotkey action here. But I think what's happening is Unity is getting a string, which is like a collection of text, and it does not know how to convert that into the corresponding enum. So I have to figure out a way to handle that properly. Now, it would be in here, I guess. But, that's a debug. Wait, actually, no. This would be in core models networking in our VTS WebSocket here. I need to go to the hotkey, get hotkeys in current model, debug, show me what we're getting. Debug.log. Before you try and convert this again, data. Show me what we're getting. That's what I need to know. Is it a string or is it a number, is the question. Stop. Alright, so here we have our string. Not very well formatted. Type is indeed a string. So here, like here we can see, we have a hotkey with no name. It has a type of toggle expression. Toggles an expression for the file sad tears. Cool, that makes sense. It has an ID. Makes sense, makes sense, makes sense. That is definitely not a trigger. Yeah, basically I have to figure out a way to get it to understand that this name, this string, quotes toggle expression, corresponds to where was it? Corresponds to the number 2 here on this list. In Java, that would be very easy to do, but in C# I don't think there's an easy way to... Because in Java, you could make the enum extend string instead of int, and so it would know that that string means this. But in C#, you can only do primitive types, and string is not considered a primitive. So I'm in a bit of a bind. How do I get it to understand that this should cast without like a ton of nonsense? I don't have a good answer for that, unfortunately, though. Might not be something I can solve on stream. I'll just have to do, because it's not blocking me right now, but it is something I don't want to forget about. The correct way to handle this, I'm pretty sure, would be in this JSON utility. I need to get it. So this is what actually converts that text message we saw in Unity into a piece of data that we can access. Right here, Unity Engine JSON utility from JSON. Cool. It takes in that text and turns it into an object of type whatever we specify, T in this case. I need some way to... Ow. Hey, Ert, how's it going? How's Dodongo? Tell me about the tortoise. Alright, yeah, alright. I added some new redeems, by the way, Ert, if you're interested. You might find them cool. 2 whole new ones. Okay, so I need some way to take the string here and find the fields that match those enums and replace the... I think what would work is if... Oh, I hate this. Let's see. Let's see. If... No, because it's a string. Ugh. Yeah, I think I lowered yay. Yay should be better now. Thank you. Yeah, I think that's I'm gonna get a lot of mileage out of yay, I'm pretty sure. He's good, I gotta drag him inside tonight. It's gonna get below freezing again. What the hell? It's end of April. What the hell? Freezing. What the hell? What the hell? Okay, so... Okay, hold on. I gotta look this up. I gotta see if there's a graceful way to do this. Yeah, but a bit chilly for you is like not that cold, Fuba, is the problem. Our last frost is May. Huh? Alright, fair enough. Alright, hold on. So I'm gonna do if... This is bad. This is intensely bad code. But I'm gonna see if this will solve my problem, and this will inform how I would go about solving this for realsies. Because I don't like that this is maybe the answer. Okay, so far JSON contains... is basically of message type here, where we're talking about hotkeys. In current model response, we're gonna need to do this. I need like a fucking regex to do this easily. For each hotkey action in hotkey action dot in hotkey. Can I do that? How do I get C#, please? How do I iterate over enums? Should be easy. Java makes this so easy. Is it bad code if it fixes the issue? Yes, if it introduces more issues. And my concern here is that by looking for something by exact string matching is what's known as extremely fragile code, right? Because if any part of this changes, like if there's an extra space, or they change the name here, or this string shows up in something unrelated that isn't this exact thing, like part of a broader context, you are gonna have problems, I think. But what I can do is, so I should iterate what my plan is. So if our plain text string contains message type, hotkeys, and current model response, we're going to do some pre-processing on it here, where we're going to iterate over every possible type of hotkey that we have, which is what we've got our list and hotkey actions. Oop, why'd it go no? What the hell? Huh? 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 Why does it think this is a string? It's an enum. This guy. So we're going to iterate over all of these, and we're going to see if we can find a match on type, colon, and then this as a name, and if we do, we're going to replace it with this corresponding number. That's the plan. So I just need to remember how to iterate over the whole set of enums, because I don't remember how to do that off the top of my head. It's enum.get values. Gotcha. Get values. Type of. Wow, that's verbose. It's good until that point, yes, you're correct. Okay, so we have this. We're going to say JSON.replace. And it's going to be, what was the exact? Like this. So we're going to replace type gosh, this is like unreadable. Wait, hold on. Type plus action dot name. Can I do that? If I just try and do that as a two-string, what happens? I wonder. And then we're going to want it to instead be... Oh, wait, no, I need some way to... It's going to be what? System? God, this is so ugly. Get name. Oh my god. Only thing I like about Java is that it makes dealing with enums very nice. But here it's very ugly. So we do our replacement. We're going to just replace it with plus action. There we go. I'm realizing also this is going to be a huge problem for error IDs as well. So I'll need to update my JSON utility here to fix that. Okay, so let's see if this does what I want. Only one way to find out, as they say. So what I've written here is, if our message type is current hotkey model response, then we're going to iterate over every list of possible hotkey types, and we're going to replace type colon its name with type colon the number, and then we're going to try and deserialize it with the built-in deserializer. And I think that's what Unity wants. It's what a game engine craves. It's what Unity wants. So let me go over here. I already removed the debug logger from this, so we should be good. Alright, moment of truth. Let's see if this works. Stop. does not seem to be working. It is triggering the conditional, but the replacement doesn't seem to be working. I know why. Oops. I also wasn't showing my my screen. Hold on. Let's try this. Okay. Back to Unity. Back to Unity. Stop. Hey, okay, this looks better. So now I can get type 2, type 1, type 13. Yay! Yeah, you've been waiting for that, right? So does it actually render properly? Yes! It was expecting a number. Okay, so this approach works, but it's very fragile. Cool, okay. I don't know what the best way to display these names are, but this is functional. It understands that each hotkey is of a different type, which is, I think, important. And then, it's got to display the name if there's a name, and then ideally it would display the ID. Commit reminder. Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea at all. Let me get rid of the part where I'm spitting out a bunch of print lines, and then I will commit this. I will do that. This I also need to fill out. Okay, cool. So we have all of our possible hotkeys, and that's good. That's a start. I think I'm also going to need to do a thing where I check to see if it's of message type error. Where is error ID referenced? Yeah, okay. Error data. Before I forget, let me do this. I also need a way to spoof this to guarantee that this is an error. Else, if just copy this wholesale. So basically, I need to do the same thing because the other type of thing that is a enum here is the error type, which is kind of important. So if this is message type API error, each hotkey action is going to become error ID, error, and type error ID. Not all code paths return a value? Huh? Oh, I'm missing a bracket on my for loop. Okay. There, we should be good. Kinda ugly, but it should work. Okay, now I'll do that commit reminder. Let me save this right here. Git commit stubbed out hotkey module fixed enum deserialization. Cool. All right. I've commit. Thank you. Code is saved. Protected for another day. Okay. So that's cool. That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. Let's close all of these windows that we've got open that are not relevant to what we were trying to do here. Don't need that open. So back to our hotkey module, right? We need to do a bunch of stuff. Expression modules has a function down here called names. We're going to take that, and we're going to, where was that? It was beneath the enum. Like that. So this is going to be the names of the various behaviors. above. Again, if enums could just be strings, I wouldn't need this, but in C# they cannot be strings. Here we go. And then where is that used here? Ah, okay. Makes sense, makes sense, makes sense. So let's copy this whole cell now as well. Getting to the point where we can actually build one of these. Save data. Just defined here. We're gonna have string hotkey ID. Threshold, trigger behavior, yeah. This dot. What did I call it? Oh, selected hotkey. Oh, that's a problem. Okay, well, we'll get to that in a second. Okay. That's bad. I need to be able to split out the ID from the actual display name. So we'll get there in a second. Set hotkey data dot. There we go. And at some point we're going to actually need to specify how to make one of these as well. Create Hotkey Module. So now we're back to here in the plugin. Jumping around all over the place, I apologize. Collapse the update loop here. Collapse this. Who that is? Where's my dashboard? Ijo Midori. Thank you for the follow. As they say, if it does not read the rest in peace on your tombstone, you get drafted into the Skeleton War. But you have voluntarily conscripted into the Skeleton crew here, so you are saving some poor draftee from getting their ass whooped. Thank you. Thank you for stopping by. I'm working on a plugin right now that lets you link your heart rate via heart rate monitor to your VTube studio model, your live 2D here, so you can like blush in real time, get way too worked up when you're doing Ring Fit Adventure, that kind of thing. That's what I'm up to. I've been at it for how long now? An hour and a half. I have not solved the task that I thought would be very easy to solve yet, but ain't that just the way? So, I don't need parameters here. Module creation, this is what I need. Follows the same kind of pattern as everything else. Everything's a pattern. Wonderful, wonderful world of patterns. This is going to be create hotkey module. Hotkey module. Save data. Hotkey module. This dot. Everything's just rename it to hotkey and we'll be fine. Oh. Wow, it just works when you just rename everything. Who'd have thought? Destroy. Hotkey module. It's a pattern. Wow. And that should make this compile, which is good. Cool. Okay, so now we go here. Hotkey Module. Everything's a pattern. Everything's a fucking pattern. Don't need these. Alright, cool. We have that. We have this. Get rid of this from the built-in list. I can now go to this guy. We have this as a prefab. Oh, I should show Unity again. I'm very bad about remembering to do that. Expression button, cool. Gonna make another one. Not an incredibly good use of space, but I'm not a button. I'm not exactly a UX engineer. If Lua complains about this, I will fix it. But I don't have a better idea right now. New Hotkey Trigger. Nope. Typing a bunch of text manually that I will have to fix later when I add localization. Create Hotkey Module. Wow. Then we go back here. I've got my manager, my plugin manager. This is going to need a reference to what the Hotkey module is. Let's see, does it work? Can I just make one? Yes. Yes, it does. And it has the 3 options for my behavior. It has the drop-down list of available hotkeys I can trigger. The only thing I haven't done is implement the part where it actually does anything. But we can create one. We can destroy it. Nope, hold on. I have to fix that. I didn't plug in those buttons to call their correct functions yet. So we've got copy button, which should be self.clone. And then we've got to add the destroy button as well. So this would be clone, and the delete button should call, Hotkey module.delete. There we go. Let's try that again. So I can add a new hotkey trigger, and I'll also have to add a part where this is able to properly save and load. That is secondary. Yep, so we can copy it, and we can delete them. Cool, okay, this all works. Air quotes works. Cool, okay. Okay, cool. Cool, okay, cool. It's good. Now, moment of truth, I implement the part where it does the thing, and we'll see how, oh, actually, I can also take this out, because now we have an actual list of all of the plugins. Now that we're creating them programmatically, we're able to get them into a list, and therefore I can... Did I skip over the whole update loop? Or is it? Application quit? Update. I did collapse update. So just like how when we get our expression list, we iterate over every module and tell it to refresh, we're going to do the same thing here for each Hotkey module in this hotkeys. Tells it to refresh. Cool. Alright. That's good. Alright, so now, moment of truth is I get to implement the part where we do something, with this. So in the expression module, I've got some good code for setting the rising and falling, detecting the rising and falling edge of the the heart rate. I'm going to basically copy that over, I think. Pretty much one-to-one. Check module condition here. Okay, so we're going to get rid of that trigger. I also have way less conditions now, which is nice. In the rising and falling edge, I needed a bunch of different conditions for the expressions, because there were 6 different potential behaviors. Here, there's only 3. So I think I can slim this down a bunch. But we'll start with the same thing and cut back as necessary. Alright, let's see. So we've got our rising edge. And the way this is triggered is if the previous threshold has changed, like if you modify the threshold and your current rate is above the threshold, or if your prior heart rate is less than the threshold and the new one is greater than or equal to. And then we say, okay, is our behavior, what are our options here? It's going to be activate above, or activate above. And I don't know that there is an else if here. Yeah, I don't think there is an else if in this case. We only care if we're on the rising edge, and we're going to do what? We're going to do plugin dot trigger hotkey. We do that with the hotkey ID. And that is a problem because I don't have the ID on hand. Okay, let me slim this down first, and then I'll think about how to fix that. So on the falling edge, it should be activate above, activate below, or just activate below. This becomes to do. Pretty much the same. So now here comes the problem. Here's the world of hurt that I've built for myself. Masil, hello. Yeah, it looks complicated indeed. Hello. I'm trying to think what the best way to brief you on what all this does is. I guess I will show you, because this is, I believe, your first time stopping by. Rather, I know it is, because it says you're a first-time chatter. Here's what I'm working on. I have a VTube Studio plugin that can connect to heart rate monitors of a bunch of different types, like exercise gear, and it will let you link your heart rate as a tracking parameter for your VTube Studio model, your Live 2D, and you can use that to do a bunch of funny stuff. So right now, I've got this set up so I can just use a slider, but it will let you do things like tint parts of your model various colors, i.e. sweat and blush, or getting flushed from working out too much, getting scared at a horror game. You've seen it before. First time commenting. Okay, I'll shut up then. Then you know the drill. I know you follow me on Twitter, so you may have seen it, because I won't shut up about this. But yeah, so today I'm trying to add the ability to not just trigger color and expressions, but also random hotkeys. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make sense, because I don't have blood vessels, so I don't know why I'd be blushed. But, you know, here we are. It doesn't really track. Wait, hold on. Why did this change to sad trails? I thought this was angry before. Interesting. Whatever. Not gonna think about it. Delete that. So I'm most of the way there. And then the other feature that I was gonna see if I can get to tonight, but I will probably call it after I get this one done, is seeing if I can implement Japanese localization, because I got Joshua Tapioca to do translations for most of the information in this plugin into Japanese. I think that would help expand the usability of this quite a bit because I'm assuming that Japanese is still the most used language in the VTubing ecosystem. So we'll see. Okay, so I have to get the ID from this. Waiting on is what? String. Is this just not name but ID, I think? I think that's correct. Data.behavior. Set hotkey. Hotkey to index. Somewhere in here this is broken, but we'll get there. We will get there. Let's see if I can get this to work. I'm gonna try and put on a hat based on my heart rate, because that's one of the hotkey types, is triggering item scenes. So let's make a hotkey trigger. It is the last one, toggle item scene. Already pretty sure it doesn't work because it should have activated, but let's give this value of 100 and use our slider here. If I crank it all the way up, no, it doesn't seem to want to go. Oh, wait, duh. Wait. Yeah, I should definitely call it after this because I'm saying things that obviously won't work. I never at any point actually tell it to try and check the conditions there. So we're going to do this. Going to VTube, VS Code rather. So I need to iterate over every Hotkey module in this Hotkey modules. And we're going to check the module condition, and now it should do something, maybe. Tears. Yeah, I can cry. I am very good at crying. Usually when people hit me in the head, I cry. Like if I were to do that to myself. Or, you know, if people do this, it'll make me cry. But that doesn't happen very often. Okay. Again, I think this didn't work because it should have triggered the... Oh, wait, no, it's because I didn't save these. Blush, activate above, activate below. Thank you. Thank you. Item scene. 100. Okay. Doesn't seem to work. Wait, did it not save my... So for whatever reason, it doesn't seem like this is actually triggering. I should be getting a fun hat like this. But it's not going. Let's see. Why would that be? Why? Check conditions. If our behavior changes, we reset our threshold so that we try and reevaluate this. And we say if it's the behavior type is activate above and below, or just activate above. Oh, wait, duh. God. I gotta do programming streams earlier than 8 p.m. Pizza hat. Yeah. That's the one I'm gonna wear tomorrow when I make pizza on stream. I have a festive plan for my pizzasudon tomorrow, because it's Easter. Buona Pasqua. I have something festive in mind that's going to be probably miserable to eat, but should be fun to watch me eat and watch me make and suffer through. This is going to be this dot selected hotkey. There we go. Helps if I actually tell it to use a hotkey and not to do like I just gave it as a placeholder. Back to pizza hat. Show me the pizza hat. Alright. Make a hotkey trigger. Hotkey is item scene 100. Hey, okay. I think it works. So when I have activate above, activate below, which means if I dip back below 100 BPM, my hat should go away. And when I go above, it shows up. Cool. Alright. That works. Now I just need to get it to save. which is maybe a hard part. I don't know. Cool. Yeah, so just imagine, if you will, that this slider is instead not something you manipulate with your hand, but is linked to a like pulsoid, for example. You can get it connected to. Ant Plus is another standard that lets you do direct connection over USB, so that's cool. And of course, we've got our sliders that I can test this shit. Otherwise, this would be impossible, and I'd have to be jogging in place in order to do all of my testing. Cool. Okay, so I can turn my hat on. Can I get this so that I only activate when it's a... Oh. Well, that's not good. That's not correct. That's a bug. It should stay on if I have it set to activate above. If I do activate below, though, when I go beneath 100, it'll give me the hat. And when I go back over 100, it won't go away, because the hotkey is a toggle. There we go. That is partially what I expect. And then activate above. Okay, so this is kind of working. Yeah, the whole gang's here. Hello, hello, hello. The whole gang is here. Okay, so that's probably time for another commit reminder for me, so I should actually save this. Actually, I want to see before I do why switching the behavior to activate above. Oh, I know why. Teaching pretty mind-blowing. I don't know if teaching is the right word, but I am doing it on stream. My big philosophy is that streaming is a good way to get me to do stuff that I would find either too boring to do or don't want to do and I'm putting off. Because if I tell myself, hey, you got to do it in front of a live audience at this time on this day, and if you back down, they'll all cry, then I'll actually do it, even if it's like maintenance stuff like this. Programming is complicated and convoluted, but it works. But it works. Okay, I understand why that, yeah, I understand why that bug is. I will make a note about that here, and I will fix it later. Above, it will try to trigger again, which just turns it off. Me, as the only developer on this project, I understand what this means. Therefore, it's a good comment. When did I start programming? I think it was like senior year of high school. So I've been programming for like a decade and a half. Hey Bon, welcome home. Something like that. I think that's how long ago high school was. Might have been longer, I don't know. I'm gonna go with... Yeah, 15 years sounds right. 15 years ago, I think that's correct. I don't quite remember how long ago high school was. Oh yeah. Yeah, so it's a fun hobby. It's what I do professionally as well. But I don't make fun stuff professionally. I write calculators all day. I do math for my day job. So it's nice to be able to do math for fun and not profit for once. But I mean, like, same question to you, like, thank you, Bon. Macy, how long have you been drawing, right? Like, it's the same thing. It's the reason for being. It's your call to action. Bon, have you seen the new not save reminders, the new sound redeems? I think you'll like them. I put them in with you in mind. I think they're good. And now you've seen them. You like them, okay. Cool. Let me turn my hat off. Because I'm not baking today, that's tomorrow. Tomorrow's the baking day. Alright, let me do a commit here, because this kind of works. So we'll say oh, wow, really? That recently? In 2020? Oh, wow. Where's the Dark Souls custom? I don't know. I have never streamed a Souls game on this channel, so I probably wouldn't have that. Macy, I would have assumed, given one, how prolific you are, and the quality of your work, that you've been drawing like your entire life. So I'm very surprised to hear you say it's as recent as 2018. I am very, very impressed with your skill level for doing something so recently. That's cool. I'm impressed, is what I'm saying. I would have assumed it's your whole life. Okay. Oh, Bon, you're gonna want to see this. This is some cool code that I had to write to do a bug fix. You're gonna hate me for this, but I have to show you. We were hitting an issue where the JSON that we were getting, the string, had its hotkey actions and error IDs in a type of string, and C# only can understand enums in the context of numbers. So check out this very brittle string interpretation pre-processing I have to do on my JSON, where I check what kind of message type it is, and then do a replacement. It's fine. Oh boy. That's a lot of typecasting, isn't it? Yeah. It's great. Basically, we just have to cut out the part where it's a name and replace it with a number, and then it's fine, and we can deserialize it just fine. But I needed to show you this so that you could beat me up later. Drawing for Coco is a challenge to improve, and I think you met that challenge pretty well, right, Macy? Like, obviously she loved your work. Do you have to learn all those codes? I don't know what you're asking. Do I have to learn all those codes? I don't know. I don't know what you mean. Sorry. I understand what I wrote. I've written every line that we see before us in this entire project in every file. So I know what it does. I understand the language. But I don't know what you mean. Do I have to learn all those codes? When you type them, are they memorized? So, a cool thing about the program, which calls an IDE, or Integrated Development Environment, is that I can do something like this. I will know that I have a variable called heart rate manager. So I'll type it here. Heart rate. And it'll begin to fill in with things that are named similarly to what I'm looking for. So I can get as far as heart rate. I can use the arrow keys to select heart rate manager, press enter. That's auto-filled in for me. Then we use the dot operator. And it'll give me all the possible things that I can then tell this object to do. So we get the instance. I want to access the plugin. And then it'll, once again, I just keep basically doing that, and IntelliSense, which is the function in the IDE that has basically a pre-compiled knowledge of everything else in the code base, will helpfully guide me to things that I can or can't do. Do I use a notebook? Not a physical one, but I am not above searching the internet for answers. Website called, well, this is Unity Answers, but there's a website called Stack Overflow, which is basically a giant digital notebook shared by every software engineer on the planet, where people post questions, they're very easily searchable, and then you'll find something like this, where it's got your best answer, and they'll usually have an example of code that does work, and that's how I learned how to do something. Engineering is less memorizing how to do things and more knowing where to find the answer of what you're looking for. If you try and just memorize how to do everything and every type of algorithm and best practice for everything, you'll never do it, I don't think. But knowing where that information can be found and how to assess if your solution is correct, that's the real skill for engineering. Anyway, back to Unity. What was I doing? I need to make the oh, what was I doing? Get rid of that. Okay. I need to make this save now, an important aspect of having settings is that they actually save. So we will go into our model data here. I think. Nope. Wrong place. Model save data. There we go. Also, a lot of software engineering is just patterns. Like, my entire stream so far has been taking what I wrote that allowed me to trigger expressions and renaming it as little as possible so that I could trigger hotkeys instead. Hello, Densuo. Hotkeys. And so once everything starts to follow a pattern, it becomes kind of easy to replicate to move fast. And you'll hear a lot of engineers talk about like software patterns or code patterns. But yeah, I'm not like a steno whiz. I don't have like a million APM like Taishi. So I'm using IntelliSense to fill this stuff in for me. And it's very helpful. Okay. So now I need to actually populate that field. Load model data. Okay. Go here. For each hotkey module, save data module, and data.hotkeys. Create hotkey module. Densu, have you solved the mystery of the high grade Hotkeys that you've been talking about? Did you ever figure out how that ended up at your doorstep? It's the mystery of the century for sure. Hotkey. Temp. Hotkey. It's coming one day. I still don't know who got it for me. It's it's a master grade. I thought it was the high grade. Holy shit. That's a big mystery. It's a secret Santa all the way out here in May. That's exciting. That's very exciting. I'm assuming you like wanted it though, right? Like it's not just like a haha, I'll buy you a very expensive, difficult to build modeling kit, knowing full well that you aren't able to build it and that it will be a punishment to you. Destroy Hotkey Module. And then what else do we need to do? In the save function, which is where load. Alright, here we go. Save model data. For each hotkey module in this dot hotkey modules data.hotkeys.add module.toSave data. It's a pattern. All of these things follow the exact same pattern. It's great. Whoa, what is this emote? Power up. Oh, it's a Twitch global emote? I've never seen power up R before. Absolute favorite designs. I'm ecstatic. That's great. I'm glad to hear it. I like this hand of fire. I need more emotes, frankly. I have a couple more slots now that I've been able to affiliate. I just have these two right now, but I need better ones. Or more. Not necessarily better. I don't think you can beat Cher's Pizza, but I need more of them. I don't know. I'm not a very emotive person, I don't think. So, I don't know. Challenging stuff. Alright, so now if I go to Unity and I build one of these, thank you, Bond, for the Cher's Pizza. Oh, how? Wait, there's a left and right. Okay, that makes sense. Left and right. Wings. Okay. Foodboss got the right idea. Okay, so now if I go in here and I make a Hotkey Trigger, and I'm going to say this is the toggle item scene 1. And it's going to be 100. Cool. We go below 100, it goes away. Go above 100, it turns back on. With all these other dumb effects I've got. High blush and I cry and stuff, and I put on a hat. So now the test will be, we've got our thing here. If I stop the app and I boot it back up again, It did not remember my hotkey. But it did remember the behavior I wanted, and it remembered the threshold. So now I'm stuck blushing, because it thought I wanted to trigger my blush expression. Interesting. Why is it not remembering that? Or more realistically, it probably is remembering it and not able to load in properly. Code chef. Well, I'm going to be a real chef tomorrow, so that's exciting. Tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern, I will be doing the real chef business on stream. As I mentioned, I've got a festive, quote-unquote pizza, quote-unquote festive, planned tomorrow. So that should be fun. I've got a bunch of stuff to talk about. It's been a pretty good week for me, or pretty good half a month for me, in terms of VTubing and other things, so I've got a lot to talk about that's also done. Okay, so our Hotkey module is probably just not writing an ID here. I need to find out what it is trying to save and load, though. So let's do load.log, this dot selected. What does it think that this is? What is my selected hotkey? Family loved the pizza we made with your recipe. That's the best endorsement I can possibly imagine. That's really good. That's what makes it all worth it. That's better than having a ton of subscribers. That's better than getting in the super chat money, is hearing that somebody took stuff that you conveyed through this medium and they enjoyed it on their own terms. That's as good as it gets. That's what I live for. Metaphorically speaking, of course. I'm dead. But it's the good stuff. Alright, so I changed this to toggle item scene, and I stop. I should get a little console printout. There we go. Okay, so it is saving the ID properly, but now it's not loading properly. It has to be, it's not loading, because it's saving just the ID, which is what we want. And then we tell it to load, and we do that with set hotkey here. So this is going to be the hotkey ID, hotkey to index. Ah, okay. Here's where the Haynes. And this is not the name, this is going to be hotkey ID, I think. And now, moment of truth, this will work. It'll remember. Yes, it remembers. But the problem is, well, I don't know if it's a problem. I guess it's as advertised. It's triggering the expression here. If I go back below, hat, no hat, hat, no hat. I think that's as good as I can do. The crux of the weird behavior that I'm seeing is basically, thank you for the yay, by the way. The crux of the weird behavior that I'm seeing here is because hotkeys are just a binary toggle. If it was on before you boot up the program, when it tries to toggle it again, it's going to turn it off on you. So there's no way to say like, oh, I want the effect of this hotkey to be on. You can just say you want to press the hotkey. So it kind of looks weird. And that's why I was getting a behavior before where if I change it from activate above... Wait, no, that's the expression, sorry. Where's my hotkey? If I change it from activate above, activate below to just activate above, it actually turns off again. Because the way I had this set up was anytime you change the behavior, like for the expressions as well, it'll try and reevaluate if it should be activated or not right now. This made a lot more sense for the expressions, where if I changed this to like deactivate above, it'll turn off the crying, and then if I go back to activate above, deactivate below, because I'm above the threshold right now, it turns it back on. Because you can set if you want this on or off, but the hotkeys are just a toggle. You just trigger them. So maybe it doesn't make as much sense here to reassess if you execute the behavior. I don't know. That's something for me to think about off stream, I think. Because now this basically works. I'm happy to do this. Now the question is always, do I want to keep going and try and get localization in there, or do I call it now? I'm kind of on a roll, but I don't know. Commit reminder, yes! Yes, you're right. You're so right, Vaughn. You're always so right. So smart. Thank you, thank you. I need, like, the GitHub logo as one of my emotes. People just tell me to push my code. Git add all. Git commit. Yeah. Hotkey module saving. Loading works. Alright, cool. So that's all squared away, which is good. Thank you, thank you. It's a fun redeem, right? You get bones like so often, but you only need to spend one. They're like ammunition, basically. I think it's a fun redeem. Hold on, I gotta get something to drink. I gotta get a beverage. I'll be right back. Alright, it seems like y'all are having fun hitting me while I'm down. That's fair. I deserve it. I mean, that's why I put it in there. If I didn't want to get beaten up, I wouldn't have that plug-in. I'm glad you're able to do that while I'm gone. Okay, let's see if I can get some localization in here. Might as well. I got nowhere else to be. Let's make this a really fucking long stream for no reason, I guess. Right? That seems like the right thing to do. I don't know. Now I'm having doubts. I'm like, am I tired? Am I not tired? Am I in the zone? Yeah? That's how you feel? Yeah, Vaughn? I don't know if the boo is telling me that I should quit while I'm ahead. Alright, you're just pushing buttons now. I see how it is. You're just doing stuff for the sake of doing stuff. Okay. Localization, let's do it. Let's commit to a new piece of work. Let me check out that branch. Git, what is it? Git fetch. Git check out. This will be a fun one. Okay, so, as I mentioned, I have localization that I was able to commission through a friend who does Japanese interpretation, and the way I have all of my localization stuff set up for every project I've ever done that requires the localization is I build it into a spreadsheet in Google Docs. So then I can just pass around the link to the Google Doc, and you get your string key, and then you have it in English and Japanese and whatever other language you want as all the way across the row. And then, basically on the programming side, instead of plugging in English text, I'm able to plug in these pointers and easily switch between each column as desired. So this is a pretty straightforward process that I've done a couple times for a couple other things. I don't know why I didn't build it in to this app up front, even if I only had English to begin with. I think I was just very concerned with speed and getting this out the door very fast. But kind of is going to bite me in the ass now, because there's a lot of stuff I have to pull out and supplant with keys. So let's get this in here. Let me get my localization library. I don't remember which one of these this is. Plugins. I think it's this one. Well, I have another whole library that I wrote for exactly this kind of thing. Show and Explorer. I just need to import it. There we go. Alright. So I have imported my localization thing here. I don't need this. I think I can move this up a level. I don't need a demo. Does this compile? We good? Okay, cool, this compiles. So, yeah, basically what this has a bunch of stuff that I wrote previously that will help me in this quest here. Namely, I have a tool that will let me... Oh, this doesn't actually show. Interesting. This is like a secondary pop-up. I have a little tool that I wrote that modifies the Unity editor itself that will let me paste in this link to the sheet and write this to a file, in this case strings.csv, and we will pull down the latest CSV, and there we go. Here's all of the text that was just in that spreadsheet, and now I have it in a local file, strings, and we can index it by its various languages, and I get to find out if the font that I have can render Japanese. So, where do we even begin? Where do we even begin? Well, I need to build a localization manager, game object here. This is going to have the script on it that loads in that file. Localization Manager has string table of strings. And then it's basically as simple as going into, say, what am I looking for here? Close this. Wait, no. Open that. Settings, inputs, threshold settings. This right here. So we've got like something like this. I will be adding a localized text script to this, and now I will simply have to figure out what the key for that is. I think it's input ranges title. I was very careful about laying these out. So I give it a key like such. And I don't think this is actually going to have a visible, noticeable change right away, because I don't have a way to change language yet. But it still renders the text, which is what we want, which is good. Expected heart rate ranges. And that corresponds to the first item here, input ranges title. If I were to change that key to something like input ranges tooltip, we're going to get a much larger block of text. Which won't work. It'll look wrong. Input your expected range of ... Yeah. So clearly we're able to load these things in pretty easily. I'm glad that the code that I wrote 5 years ago or whatever is still applicable today. But before we get ourselves very preoccupied with changing everything from a pre-built string to a key, I need some way to switch languages. That's kind of important. Scripts. Let's go to our localization manager and hop into VS Code. Oh, close that. Don't need this, don't need this, don't need this, don't need that. What languages do I have set up? Ah, that makes sense. In my example, I had English and Italian as my two optional languages, because those were the two that I could write examples for. So let's change Italian to Japanese. And where has that caused an issue? And then here, I have a mechanism built in that can detect the language of your computer system and will try and assign the appropriate language to your settings automatically. So this prevents an issue where, say, a user can only speak Japanese and the app boots in English and they don't know how to go to the settings menu and change their language because they can't read the menu. So here it should hopefully let you load the system language correctly. So we don't have Italian in here anymore. We can get rid of that. But we can add a case for case system language.japanese lang equals supported language.japanese. Oh, and I need a break. Break. Cool, cool, cool. Alright. Next up, let's make a way to actually switch between languages in our UI here. And that should be pretty straightforward. I have a settings widget here, which I've got a bunch of different little modules for. I've got like setting your port, how to submit feedback, system data. So we're going to, I guess, just copy one of these. This is going to be language settings. Move this up, and we're going to make this into a UI prefab elements. Where does this go? Modules? Settings? Organization is key with assets like this, I think. Alright, language settings. Original prefab. I'm very grateful that Unity offers me a way to do visual construction of UIs like this. Key. I actually don't have a thing set for this, which is a problem. And this is not going to be a refreshable dropdown. There's no need. It just needs to be a regular dropdown. So we're going to move that here. Wait, really? I can't just bump that up? Okay. Modules, elements. Just a normal ass dropdown will suffice. Get rid of that. This can be the full width of 330. Oh, golly, I'm not showing Unity. I'm so bad at this. I am a hack fraud. I will never ever remember to switch over to what I'm working on. Yup, thank you, Bob. You got me. So the text here is gonna be language. My drop down here does not need to have that auto-populated, but what I do need is this to have a script on it that we will assign in short order. So we're going to go to UI, scripts, modules. Where did I put the other thing? Elements? Port selector, sure, okay. Language selector. There we go. And now I'm going to go right back to VS Code. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So we're going to use using Unity engine.ui. And we're going to add a system serial, or no, this is a serialized field rather. Private drop down. Wow. Creative naming. We're gonna do, I guess it'd be on start. Probably. Yeah, this is probably just on start. because this doesn't get new languages loaded up at runtime or anything. This dot dropdown dot add options. Localization dot supported language. Of course, it's never that easy. So it's system dot enum dot get names type of boom, like that. Like that. No? Can I convert from string to option data? I don't think that, I think you're lying to me, C#. I'm pretty sure you do that all the time. If I do list string great, lots of typecasting, but that's fine. All right, and then we do this dot dropdown dot on value changed. We're gonna do what? No, no, don't do that. Let's do private void select language index. Select language, cool. Oh wait, no, it's add listener. There we go. So what do we do when we get a new language selected? We're going to figure out what language that corresponds to. So localization, select supported language, language equals system dot enum dot get value dot parse type of enum. Oh wait, no. Type of localization dot supported language, and the actual value is this dot dropdown dot options I. Super long line. Text. Wait, where did this equals come from? That should be a comma. Very long. Very long. Doesn't like that? Why? Oh, index. Index. There we go. And it hates it. Cannot implicitly convert type object to supported language. What? What? I gave you the type. Do I really need to do... I hate enums in C#, actually. I fucking hate this shit. Yeah, there's no reason it needs to be this wrapped in typecasting. In the one thing I like about Java is that it's much easier to do this, because you can add functions and stuff to enums to let them handle how they interoperate with other things. Alright, cool. Whatever, it's fine. Localization... dot instance... dot set... switch language. Language. There we go. Oh, actually... Hold on, how do I do this? Japanese is 2, right? Okay. This part here where I filled this in is wrong. The way that I wanted to set this up is that the enum corresponds to what column in the spreadsheet that language is. So here, I don't want to display the names of every enum. What I want to do is... Oh, and then actually I don't need to do this whole parsing. Actually, all I need to do is... this is fine, because enums are numbers natively. And then we get rid of this. So we just cast it straight to what index it is. That's fine. And then the list here is going to be for each... actually, it's just for... Wait, hold on. Also, in Java, it's way easier to iterate over an enum, which should be, in theory, what you actually want to use an enum for. Language in... Like, this is so ugly. This is such bad code to look at visually. For each language in system enum, not get names. Get values. Type of. Local. It also doesn't help that I have this big qualifier for. I guess I could probably just do using localization, and I can get rid of this big qualifier for namespace, and that makes this a little more palatable, because I get rid of this giant word in front of every system call. Yeah, so we're going to say we're going to iterate over all of these. We're going to make a new list of list string language options equals new string language options. So we're going to say language options dot add, and we can do localization manager instance dot get string. Key is language, and the supported language is going to be language. There we go. So what this is going to do is, if I go back to my browser here, this is saying that we're going to set the value of the dropdown to be language in each of its... So the key is language, and language translates to English in English, and Nihongo in Nihongo in Japanese. So in that way we can just say use the language key and figure out what language it represents. But one more thing I need to do is I need to increase the index here by 1, because index of 0 on the list will not work. All right, let's give this a spin in Unity. Oh, actually, I also have to. Do I have to add this to the? I have to add this to a script. I have to add the script to this guy rather. Language selector with our fancy drop down. Let's see. Does this give me 2 options? Under settings, string not found. That's good. This is bad. This dot drop down options clear, or clear options, I think it's function I can call. Oh yeah, and then I gotta do language options. Let's try that again. Let's try again. Settings. No, okay, it's still... Why? Why is this... I get why a string is not found for the title, because I didn't actually put that one in the spreadsheet yet, but the drop-down should be populated correctly of the language options, but instead it's just not being populated at all, it looks like. That's very strange. Settings. Language setting. Oh, it still has... That's why. There we go. It still had the port selection script attached to it, so it was finally overriding with the port. Let's go here. Awesome. String not found and string not found. Beautiful. That's not helpful at all. Okay. But we know that we can successfully load some strings. Just not, I guess, these. Oh, wait. Okay, actually, I don't know. So back to my code. I've got my Localization Manager, which has a function for getting strings. You can give it the key and the language you want that key represented in, which is designed exactly for this exact situation, where you have one key that you want to display in multiple different languages at once for some reason. So in this case, language. And our language. And then our supported language is the one that we're iterating over. So why is it not showing up? Unless... Thanks, Macy. Glad to know you're still with us. Unless this is initializing this, it's running the start function after the localization manager. Let's see, when does this run? Start. What is the order of operations here? My thought process is that perhaps it is trying to set this all up before we load in our string table, which would be bad. And I hope it's not the case, but it might be the case. Let's look at our order of operations in our handy Unity. So we got start, and then okay, yes, that's the exact problem. It is running its start here, and then we're initializing our localization manager. That's a problem. I don't know why it's running that so late. I would think the manager should set up right away. Okay. I need to get this to execute later, but I don't know how. Or I don't know where. It's genius. Thank you. Yeah. I assume that that's how most programs do it. It's not like I'm the first person to ever think about that. But it was a problem I thought a lot about way back in the day, where I was trying to figure out the right way to make it very approachable on how you would be able to navigate a menu, assuming you couldn't read any of the language. And this app, I don't have nearly good enough visual design to help people navigate if they couldn't read. But I'm hoping at the very least I can load it in the correct language for them if there's an applicable language that I've got. That's the best I can do. It defaults to English if there's not a matching language, which I think is probably correct, because if your system language is in something like Spanish or Italian, odds are that you'll be able to get through with English. I don't know, it's the lingua franca for a reason. Love it or hate it. Okay, so I gotta get this to start later, and I don't know how to do that. The real question, I guess, is why are these managers starting up so much later than I want them to? we switch this to awake? Or is that going to cause a problem? There we go, that's better. So the Unity has a bunch of different life cycle points. It's got awake, which is top of the order, and then after that it'll do all the start methods, and then there's an update loop that keeps happening every frame, 60 frames per second. So by calling all the managers to start up in the very first frame, I think we're set here. Yep. And now I have who that is. Simple Sugar, VTuber, joins the Skeleton crew. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Skeleton crew. I'm your host, Skeletom, and I want to give you a big shout-out thank you for voluntarily joining. They say if it doesn't read rest in peace on your tombstone, you get drafted into the Skeleton War, and you, my friend, have voluntarily signed up, so you're going to save some poor idiot from getting drafted. Thank you, thank you. We're working on a VTube Studio plugin right now, as the title says. How do I become a skeleton if I don't have bones? You're probably fine. Skeleton is more like a state of mind. It's like a feeling more than it really is being made of bones. Alright, I gotta turn some of these things I've got going on off, because like I don't need to turn my hat on and off anymore. Get rid of that. Crank this way down. I'm not gonna blush anymore. Put the hat away. I'm just sugar and magic. Both sugar and magic. That's impressive. Oh yeah, I'm looking at your little avatar here on Twitch. You've got like a block of sugar cube for a head. That's very cute. I like that. That's a good design. I think that's a very good design. Okay, so now if I switch over to Japanese, there we go. That's very good. I'm glad to know that the font that I have chosen can render Japanese. Sugar and magic in a different dimension might as well be a type of skeleton. That's one way to think about things, I suppose. Candy people skeleton, okay. Like if you're from like Luna's Candy Kingdom, perhaps. Okay. Cool. So this works, which is nice. No body, just cube and sweater. Alright, I like it. I like it. That's a fresh design. I can grok with that. Okay. So I'm still missing a bunch of strings. I gotta do another pass on the spreadsheet. But as we can see, if you switch to English, the one thing we've set up renders in English. Sugar skulls are a thing. That's a great point, Ert. And then if we switch to Japanese, the one thing that we've set to switch languages, in fact, switches languages. Wow. It works. In theory. Now I just have to go through and switch every fucking label, which I don't know that I'm gonna want to do tonight, because that sounds really arduous and like not good entertainment. If I die, I'm just a pile of loose sugar. This is getting kind of dire. I don't want to be too much of a downer, but that's good to know how the magic sugar physiology works. I know there's like folks who say like, oh, I want to be cremated and you got to turn my ashes into diamonds or something like that. In your case, if somebody made your sugar into like a creme brulee or rock candy when you die, would that be like a fitting way to honor your memory? Or is that like blasphemous? I don't know. I couldn't begin to guess. What have you been up to anyway? Let's find out. Last seen engaging in music. I like that. I can get behind that. What kind of music are you making? Or listening to, or whatever? I'm a big yacht rock proponent myself because I'm slowly aging into a dad. Used to be a ritual in my people. What? Being turned into rock candy? Cool. Sounds fun. I did a karaoke stream. Oh. Well, what were you singing? As you can probably ascertain from listening to me speak for all 3 minutes, do not have any kind of singing voice or desire to sing. But I'm glad that other people do. No, I'm just saying I'm old enough. I'm dad aged, though I've always been like this. I'm not going to be a dad anytime soon. That's libel. It's not true. I sung all of it. You sang every song. That's impressive. That was like what, like a 2-hour stream then? 3-hour stream? Every song in human history? Or I guess sugar history. That's cool. What was I doing? Okay, we can select our language. Oh, yeah. So now the next thing I need to do is change how tooltips work. Control Shift F. Control Shift F. Tooltips. Let's go to VS Code. I have a button currently. I have a single class. Yeah. I mean, I'm probably not speaking super clearly either. I have a single class here that currently... So you're in your late 30s to late 40s, something like that. That sounds about right. That's how I feel. Anyway, I've got this one class that has a switch statement that will print out every... Just like what is it? Every tooltip based on an enum that we pass in. So all the text is written in this one file. And I need to change this so that they're not hard-coded in here anymore, and instead flexible based on language. So I think what I need to do is do the following. We're going to change how show pop-up works. There's going to be a title key, body key. We keep diving in. Title key, body key. Age is a state of mind, just like being a skeleton. Kuba, don't look too deeply into it. It's not a huge deal. Age is completely a state of mind. What was I doing? Now I'm derailed. Title key. Okay, title.text is going to be localization manager instance get string like such, and we repeat the same function call for the body. And then we do the same thing. Option.text. We print out the... Oop, I can see it. Missed that. Okay, so now this is set up so that we pass in some keys instead of straight text, and we'll look them up for the appropriately selected current language. So we save that, go to our tooltip button, and now it's a matter of referencing a spreadsheet and figuring out what my keys here are. I think it's like this. Makes my file size go way down though, because I've offloaded all this text to a different file. So like, let's try this. Let's see if this works. Let's go to Unity. And I'm gonna boot this up. And we're gonna try and see what the tooltip for expected heart rate ranges is. Alright, it loads. That's good. It's in English, that makes sense. We can now go to settings and change our settings to Japanese. And we're going to go back and we're going to click on our tooltip, and it is in Japanese. Cool. Alright. That's very good. I don't know. I guess I'll have to pass this back to Joshua and see if he thinks that this is like legible or presented in a good way. But it should follow the same formatting as the English. It's got certain phrases bolded, which he did not object to, so I assume that that's a universally understood concept. though I really don't know. And we go back to English. Tooltip is back in English. Wow. It's so easy. So let's finish that up. This is the kind of boring stuff, though, that I'm talking about, where it's like, if I don't do this now, when will I ever do this? I have to make myself do it on stream, otherwise I'm never going to want to do it. Unfortunately, that means subjecting, fortunately not a captive audience, but an audience nonetheless, to, I would say, less than entertaining busy work. Alright, so we just swap all of these to app title, yeah. Switch all of these over to key values. I can even give key values for the buttons. Boom. Like such. Oh, let's test if the button business works. Let's see. Go to Unity. So now if I switch my input type to pulsoid, okay, that part should load. Hashtag input pulsoid overview. Can it not find the string? Shut up about that. It seems like it's not even trying to find. Okay, so another neat function of my localization library, or at least it's supposed to be, is that you can embed strings in other strings in theory. So like we've got hashtag input pulsoid overview, which should correspond to this string right here. But it's not. So, Tom, by the way, I know you're a big fan of PS2. Do you have any PS1 games? I've got a couple. I've got, obviously, Metal Gear Solid, rather. I've got the Spyro games, which I hold very near and dear to my heart. I've got Lego Racers, which is also a really good PS1 game. I've got the Italian Job, which is like shovelware, but it's a racing game. What else is sitting on my shelf? I have the JoJo fighting game, Heritage for the Future. That one is a big ticket item for sure. Very pretty. I've got that one. What else? I don't think I have that much else here. Those are the ones that stick out to me. They spring to mind. Yeah, Heritage for the Future is cool. Yeah, it's awesome. It's very nice. You used to be able to get it on PSN, but they discontinued it. So now my physical version is all I got. Oh wait, hold on. Okay. Why is that red? Huh. Yeah. The sprite work in that game is gorgeous. That's part of the reason I wanted it, even though I'm not good at fighting games. Let's try pulling down the CSV again. Okay, no, that's still causing a problem. Why is this suddenly not working? Input pulsoid overview. By clicking, it should just know to recursively insert strings when it encounters that. I don't understand why that's not working. And presumably if I switch it to Japanese, we've got the same problem. Yeah. But the part of it that did load is correct. but it's not doing the replacement correctly. That's stressful. Why is that? Switching back over to VS Code. I have my replacement key tag as pound. And where is this referenced? Should be doing a recursive replacement, where if it finds the... Like, this is like, I don't want to get in the weeds of how this all works, but I have a system that lets you embed strings in other strings. It lets you build compound sentences with components that you can localize consistently. How is VTube Studio to work with as a developer? I like it very much, but that's also because I'm in the VTube Studio Discord, where I get to talk to the guy who makes VTube Studio anytime I have a question or a complaint, and he generally is very receptive. That'd be at Denchi. So I think it's great. I try and make it good for other people. Yeah, that does help a lot. Skullheim, welcome by the way. You're new around these parts. I have not seen your face before. Or your name. Yeah, it helps a lot. I'm trying to make it more accessible for other people. So part of my effort towards that is I built the library that I'm using right now, actually, that can integrate Unity applications into the VTube Studio API. So people don't have to worry about the nitty-gritty of how to connect. They just can use the functions of my library and it will connect for them. And it'll handle networking automatically and stuff like that. So the part of the reason I'm trying to build the app that I'm building was to, as they say, dog food my own library. Or I guess the full phrase is eat your own dog food. Make sure that it's actually edible before you tell somebody else to eat it. And it's working. It seems to be pretty good. If you've seen like vBridger or what's another one? The Twitch integrated throwing system. There's some others that are not springing to mind off the top of my head, but those were built using the library that I put together. So that's fun. It's nice to see people build these big popular things with tools that I provided them. It warms the heart, metaphorically. So yeah, Skullheim, what brings you around these parts? I'm just a tired old skeleton clinging to this world by the need to repair software. So I can't imagine this is a hot ticket place to to show up in. What brings you here? Why is this not doing its recursive replacement? I do not understand. We've got getString. It'll try and do a recursive replacement of the key value in the selected language, which should default to I don't understand. I'm a programmer just seeing who's streaming on Twitch where you're working something interesting, wanted to learn more. Well, thank you. Yeah, I'll give you the rundown since you're, I guess, new here. I am building a plugin for VTube Studio that allows you to link your heart rate as a tracking parameter into the whole application. So you can connect using a bunch of different devices. I've also got a little debug slider here so that you can test different values, and it feeds in your pulse here as a tracking parameter and lets you map that to a bunch of different outputs. So, for example, I have a configuration right here that will make me cry when my pulse gets to be over 150, and will gradually make me more and more flushed. And if we crank my heart rate up artificially, you can see that take effect automatically. And then I slide it back down, and we're good. Yeah, so this is my contribution to plugins currently. This is for like Ring Fit Adventure streams or horror games or what have you. That's what I'm working on right now. And so right now, specifically, I'm trying to integrate... Yeah, it'd be great. Yeah, exactly. My original thought was Ring Fit Adventure, but I see a lot of people play horror games with it. I've seen so far two different kinds of exercise streams and one person playing DDR with this are the real-world examples I've seen. but I do not see any reason. Oh, that's not true. I've seen people send me clips where they do horror games as well. Yeah. So I've seen the whole gamut now. And so the thing I'm specifically working on right now is I recently got all the text in this app translated into Japanese by a very trusted translator friend, and I'm trying to get the localization to work. So when you swap to Japanese, it'll load the tooltips for everything correctly. But I'm hitting an issue where it's supposed to be embedding strings in other strings, and that recursive replacement part is not working, and I don't understand why. I do not understand why. Unless... Oh, I know why. I chose the... Okay, hold on. I know exactly why. In my regex here, which determines when punctuation happens, which is relevant to know when it stops reading a string key, I have included hashtag as one of the options, which is not good because I was trying to have that also be the indicator of the start of a string key. Or a string key, not stream key. Regex, you have two problems, etc., etc. Yeah, I know. I know. You're not wrong. But old habits die hard. Okay, so let me change this back to %. And then let me find my CSV file here. Open this bad boy up. So this is my CSV of everything, all my language text. Each column represents a different language, and each row is headed by the key. It's the best way that I could think of to set this up. So let me do a Control R here. Or Control. I keep doing Alt R. No, is that not it? Control Shift. Control F. I keep doing Control, or rather Alt R, because I use a Mac for my day job, and the buttons are flipped around. So let's replace hashtag with $. And now, we go back to Unity, and it will just work. I could also have changed my regex, but I don't feel like doing that. So now, I open this tooltip. Part of it works. Is there some kind of issue with it being the start of a... Okay, hold on. Interesting. So, previously, these things that were in... These things that were in bold down here, login button, authentication token, were not, what's the phrase? They were not being injected properly, but now it's just this header piece that's not going in, and I don't know why. I also see that I've got a errant, quote at the end here. Maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe it's not able to format later. No, because it got login. I don't know. Control. Okay. Regex 95. Keep looking back at that. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Tool. Pull latest CSV. I need to go through on my... So I'm pulling this CSV from a Google Doc also, which is pretty cool. A Google Sheet. So I need to go through there and update this percentage thing so that it's correct. So if I just insert, let's find out. If I insert a space and it's no longer the first, or like I do A, and it's no longer the first letter, it starts with a insertion here, will that work? And if so, why is that a problem? Why does that work that way? Pulsoid. No. It's still not finding input pulsoid overview. Did I just name the key wrong? Because clearly the other stuff works. Oh! Yeah! Okay, I can't read. It is a problem. Okay, so in my... Let's go back to the tools. My key here is input pusloid. overview. That's wrong. I am not immune to typos, but at least it's obvious when something doesn't work when you use a key-based system like this. Is there a way to do a mass search and replace? Found. Oh yeah, there is. Cool. Replace all. Awesome. So there we go. That's all squared away. Go back to Unity. Pause this. Do pull data CSV. Okay, so Skullheim, you say you're a programmer. What do you typically make if you're a hobbyist, or do you just mean like professionally and you don't want to do it on the side? Because I know plenty of people that are like that, where they don't want to program off their day job. Tell me about yours. Okay, cool. We got our little notice all set up. Also, it's a free third-party app for iOS, Android, etc., etc. By clicking the login button, you'll be asked for all this information. Cool. And then if I switch to Japanese, we still have a problem. Because I didn't think to look for Japanese quotation marks as the end of a string. Yes, okay. I understand. This is good insight. So let's go back to our browser here. It's not understanding that, where is it? Here, that this should not be included as part of the key here. So that's a problem. I need to change that up. Also, this doesn't need to be 2 lines. This should just be 1 line. There we go. So it's time to edit a regex. Let's do that. Let's see if I remember how to edit regexes. On the side, okay. On the side, I play around with C++, doing some problems on challenge sites. Is that oh, okay, websites. Currently looking for a long-term project, likely in Unity 3D. Well, best of luck to you. You never know when divine inspiration is going to strike, right? Like it's, I had been looking for a long-term project as well, and then one day this just kind of hit me. I was like, oh, this is a thing that people might want to use. Yeah, I understand. I got it the second time. All good. That's cool. Yeah, you never know when inspiration for a long-term project will just magically strike, fall out of thin air. Throwing you off. I see. Is it like one of the cool mechanical clacky ones? I have a bunch of blue switches in mine that are extremely loud, but Bond doesn't seem to mind too much because hers are about as loud, so we're even. What was I doing? Oh yeah, okay, let's edit our regex. You mind during streams? That's fair. You gotta use a microphone that has a much lower range, I think. I think I can just do this. I don't actually know how Unicode works into a regex, but we're gonna find out if this is acceptable or not. Will it identify these? Okay. Gotta go? Okay, that's fair. Good luck with it. Thank you. I'm probably gonna peace out in a little bit too. It's getting almost midnight, and I don't really want to be streaming until midnight. Have a pleasant evening. Buonasera, Messiel. Have a good one. What was I trying to check? So here, still in English. Switch to Japanese. Good night. Have a good one. Yay! Okay. You can just use Unicode in regex. That's great. Oh, I should show. There we go. Keywords have been inserted. We're fine. Switch from green to yellow mechanical switches. I know red and I know blue. I've never heard of green or yellow. I don't know anything about those. I'm also not really privy to the big differences between them. I just know blue are the loudest. That just happens to be what I have. Wait, hold on. Wait, why did it format like this? Pulsoid, new line. Why did it do that? Hold on. What does this look like in English? Interesting. Why? Also don't view. Oh, I see. Oh, it's not sure how to... Okay. But there's your proprietary. Clicky, linearly silent. That's cool. That's cool. Okay. So... Hey! Man of the hour. Joshua Tapioca. Thank you for joining the Skeleton crew. Thanks for stopping by at this... well, I guess it's early for you. It's like almost noon? Or it is noon? I'm actually working on your stuff right now. I'm doing the localization that you provided me. Thanks for swinging by. You're a true blue member of the Skeleton crew now. So, let me show you your stuff in practice. I got a bunch of stuff to smooth out here, but we can swap languages now from English to Japanese, and then for the stuff that I've hooked up, it swaps the text out. The tooltip is in Japanese. And I was just fighting around with the keyword replacement in here. I'm noticing that my text renderer has a difficult time with Japanese because it doesn't have a ton of spaces. So it doesn't know where to line break for a string. So it does it anytime it sees an English character, which is why we end up with weird formatting like this. Pulsoid, new line, and then all this stuff. But yeah. This is coming along really, really well, and I'm super, super grateful that you provided me with this text set to integrate. I'm probably going to call it here, though, because it seems like we got our system working more or less. I've got to just go ahead and do a search and replace for all of these different key value pairs, and, you know, that'll be that. So, as is tradition, I think I am gonna send you guys off to somewhere to raid. Who's online right now? Yeah, no problem. Looks like I'm sending you guys to Tsukimi, who is also in Japan right now, so it's like middle of the day for her. She's playing Super Robot Wars 30. Which is great. She's been playing that game for fucking ever, as far as I can tell. Like, since she debuted as a VTuber, like, middle of last year, I think she's been playing Super Robot Wars 30. It's a long game. But yeah, let's go say hello to her. B-D-O-H-R-N-I-I. Did I spell that right? Yes. Don't be too noisy when you get there. If you've got it, hit her with the share pizza emote. If you don't got it, you can redeem it for 80 channel points and you get it for the whole 24 hours. On my channel here, you don't have to be a subscriber or anything. Don't even have to be a follower. So yeah, that's going to do it for me here. I'm going to be streaming tomorrow at 6 p.m. EST. I'm going to be doing a festive pizza for Easter. Buona Pasqua for everybody who observes it. And yeah, that's when I'll see you guys next. So that is in, what is that? Not 6 hours, 12 hours from now? No, what? That would be 11 a.m. Why can't I count? 18 or so hours from now, I guess, it'll be pizza time. Yet again, in one of my world-famous Pizzasudons. Alright, that's enough dilly-dallying. Have a good night, Bona Sarah, and good night.